the importance of planning for retirement is to make sure that you can retire in peace and that you don't have to worry about going back out to work again to make ends meet. I think that that's very important. And once you do, then you can enjoy life and just fly like a bird.
Hello, I'm Ann Hall. Welcome to Mature Living. The transition into retirement is an exciting time. It offers individuals the opportunity to pursue hobbies and interests they may not have had time to enjoy during their working career. Being aware of healthcare costs and taking steps to ensure financial security can help individuals and their families as they transition into this new chapter of their lives. To talk with us about healthcare options and costs in retirement, we are joined by Bill Vaughan, a volunteer counselor with the Virginia Insurance Counseling and Assistance Program. Welcome, Bill.
Well, thank you for having us.
First of all, tell us about VICAP. What does this organization do?
It's a tiny little office in your county government run mostly by volunteers like myself. And we're here to help if you ever, the rare occasion, run into a problem with Medicare. And its goal is to provide free, independent, objective, no conflict of interest advice on your Medicare choices. And that is so important. There's about 80 to 90 for-profit, almost all for-profit companies in Fairfax County trying to sell you stuff. And caveat emptor, beware. Approach buying those products like you would a used car. And we're here to help you look under the hood and make sure you ask the right questions.
Good to know. So in brief, what is Medicare? Do we have to use it, and when can we join?
It's a social insurance program, which means that almost everybody in the United States of America who's legally here can get acute care health insurance, no questions asked about their health, if they've contributed some taxes to the Social Security trust funds and or willing to pay premiums. And that includes spouses who may have never worked, but whose spouse has earned entitlement to Social Security. It's a good acute care system. You get COVID, you get hit by a bus, you break a leg, great. It is not a long-term care insurance program. You get old and frail and need help getting out of the bed, that's not Medicare.
It doesn't cover that. Okay, that's good to know. People approaching 65 get bombarded with ads and even phone calls about various Medicare insurance plans. So what's the best way to handle these solicitations for information?
Take it all and throw it away. Compost it. Recycle it. And don't let people call you unless you've invited a call. That is not what they're supposed to be doing. There is such a better way to shop for these products. It's real easy. You go to medicare.gov, G-O-V, and I don't need my kids to help me with this. It's a very good program. You go to medicare.gov, you put in your zip code, and you can get side-by-side objective comparisons of the different drug plans and of the different managed care plans that you're being asked to buy. And you can get quality information about those plans, the monthly cost. You can even enroll online. So all that gunk, polite word, that you're getting in the mail, throw it away. What's surprising about Medicare, 10 million people are under age 65. They're on Medicare because of a disability or an illness or an accident. 55 million of us are 65 or older. And you don't need to participate in Medicare, but it's such a bargain. It's insanely expensive to buy insurance in our old age because for-profit insurance companies don't like to sell policies to people my age who get older and older and sicker and sicker.
Costs them more.
And while you have to pay premiums in Medicare, for most of us, 3/4 of that premium is paid by our kids, Treasury, the taxpayers. And so it is a great bargain. Again, if you're Bill Gates, you don't need it, but the rest of us need it. When you join, if you are disabled, about 2 years after the disability starts, for the rest of us, there's an initial enrollment period around your 65th birthday. Each year, if you miss that one, there's a general enrollment period, January to March, effective in July. And then I think most of us who either want to or need to keep working past 65 and are happy with their health or their company, their union plan, you can stay with that and not start paying Medicare premiums and join Part B and Part D, the drug benefit, anytime you want. And when you finally quit working, age 90, you can join within 8 months and not have a late enrollment penalty. I've thrown a lot of stuff at you, and it's complicated, but pay attention to this, because if you make the wrong choice, you could have a gap in coverage, and that'd be the month I'd have been hit by a bus. So you don't want gaps, and you don't want late enrollment penalties.
So is that the key decision you have to make? And then when do you start Medicare? How does that work?
The key decision to me is whether you want to go with original, traditional, fee-for-service Medicare. I go to the doctor, I get a service, Medicare and I pay a fee. Original, traditional, fee-for-service Medicare. Or do I join one of these plans you see on TV, Kaiser or Aetna or ARP, United, as an umbrella organization that provides you your hospital, doctor, and drug benefits under Medicare. There's a great poem by Robert Frost, "Two roads diverge in a wood, and I took one, and it made a lot of difference." Medicare has two roads, and that is a key decision that you should do some research on. Original, traditional, fee-for-service, or one of these Medicare Advantage plans.
I was getting ready to ask you about that. So are the Medicare Advantage plans truly an advantage?
Maybe. I have a friend who had a horrible experience with one and calls them Medicare disadvantage. The term was legislated by Congress that wanted more of us to join these things. They can be good, they can be horrible. It will depend on your health, your luck, and the quality of the plan that you pick. It's worth a bunch of research on that question.
Good. Okay, good advice. Now, what about Medigap and Medicare supplement plans? Those seem very confusing. Maybe you could clarify that for us.
Medigap, MedSup, same thing.
Okay.
And they are private insurance. They are not part of the public Medicare program. They're sold by private for-profit companies, and they fill the financial gaps, the deductibles, the copays of Part A, the hospital part of Medicare, and Part B, the doctor and wheelchair and lab test part of Medicare. They don't fill gaps in the drug part. You're going to have copays there. And they don't cover things that Medicare doesn't cover. Medicare does a lousy job covering eyeglasses. Medigap won't cover eyeglasses.
And does that include hearing aids too?
Hearing aids, no. So Medigap won't.
Won't cover that either. Interesting.
And another very important thing about Medigap or Medicare supplement plans is that there's a very limited window when you can buy those things without them asking questions about your medical history and charging you more. In the 6 months after you first join Part B, you can buy any Medigap policy in the state of Virginia, no questions asked. And how do you buy them? Simple, and this will save you literally tens of thousands of bucks. Go Google and go to Bureau of Insurance, Virginia Bureau of Insurance, and they have a publication about the 30 different Medigap companies and their prices. And you can find one of the lower cost ones and go from there.
So do you have any final advice for Medicare consumers? Are there any points that you wanted to make that we haven't already covered?
Yes, once you pick say a drug plan or one of these managed care Medicare Advantage plans, each fall during open enrollment season from mid-October to December 7th, you can switch with no questions asked about your health history. Check each year, just takes 5 minutes on Medicare.gov, that the plan you picked in one year is still going to be good in the new year. I said, these are almost all for-profit plans. If they're losing money in Fairfax County this year, they're going to change. They're going to change to make money in the new year, and that change can really hurt you. I've had people call me with cases where that cost them literally tens of thousands of dollars because they didn't notice how the plan changed on them.
Wow.
Pay attention to these guys. They are not charities.
Bill, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing all this useful information. Later in the show, we'll learn about how the Legal Services of Northern Virginia helps retirees and those who are preparing to retire navigate wills, trusts, medical directives, and other things they need to consider as they prepare for or are entering into retirement. But first, Mature Living producer Fran spoke with Carolyn Armstead, a recent retiree. Carolyn shares how she prepared for this new phase of her life. Fran, over to you.
Thank you, Anne. And Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us here on Mature Living. I wanted to start by asking you, when did you retire and how's it going so far?
I retired in December of 2018, and retirement is going great. I started the retirement process basically when I first got hired. I was looking for an agency or a company that had wonderful retirement benefits. So I kind of started at the beginning. As I got closer to retirement, it was important for me to pay off all of my bills, especially my small bills, so that when I went into retirement, I didn't have to worry about trying to find another job to pay those bills. So that was important to me.
How did you determine that you had enough money to then take that step into retirement?
Fairfax County government has a deferred retirement option plan, better known as the DROP program. And basically what that is that after you actually choose a day of retirement, then you have an option to continue to work for up to 3 years. And during that time, your pension will go into an interest-bearing account. So when you do leave, you would have already accumulated a certain amount of money. So once your retirement date actually comes, then you can either choose those funds to put into an IRA or some other interest-bearing fund.
Is there anything you would have done differently?
Coming in as a young person when I did to Fairfax County, and I was not familiar with a lot of the retirement plan that Fairfax County offered. I think what I would have done was to participate in Fairfax County 457 retirement plan, as well as the IRA. As a retiree, you want to be able to enjoy life. You want to be able to travel. You want to be able to just do whatever, hang out with your grandkids. So you want to be able to do a number of things, but you don't want money to be an issue.
But we realize that money and possessions, that doesn't necessarily buy happiness. So is this mantra something that retirees should really consider as they're entering this new chapter of their lives?
By the time you get to this point, basically you kind of have everything that you need, or for the most part. And it's very important that you be careful on what you spend, because we don't know how long we have here, but we want to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Have you learned anything now that you've retired about yourself that you didn't know before?
What we don't realize as employees is that a lot of times you're spending more time with your coworkers than you are your family members. So what I realized is that I missed them. The first couple of weeks, you know, it was like a vacation, but then after that, I just longed for my friends. I didn't long for work. What I learned about myself is that I have to be busy, and I have to be able or to be doing something. So I've spent time with my grandchildren. I mean, I've done some other things for friends, but I have to be busy.
Sage advice, and I really appreciate that. We've covered a lot of ground today, Carolyn. Is there anything that you want to share? Any last thoughts before we say our goodbyes?
So I want you to continue to enjoy this road right now. And when it's time to retire, have fun, enjoy life, and just be able to be yourself.
Carolyn, I really appreciate the time that you spent and sharing all this valuable, the important perspectives on the financial and everything related to retirement. Thank you so much for joining us.
Again, thank you so much for allowing me to spend a few minutes with you, and just hang in there. Retirement is coming.
In our first segment, we talked with Bill Vaughan with the Virginia Insurance Counseling and Assistance Program, and he shared some important information regarding Medicare. We now welcome Denise Pitts, an attorney with Legal Services of Northern Virginia, to share some information on the importance of estate planning. Thanks for being here, Denise. Let's talk about estate plans.
Okay.
How important is it to have one in place?
I obviously, as an attorney and as a family member, I think an estate plan is very important. It provides you your last opportunity to make sure your final wishes are fulfilled. When a family member dies, it presents a really difficult situation for the family, and just knowing that you've made it easier by making your wishes known and having everything documented and in place, up to and including funeral arrangements and disposal of your remains or of your body, is extremely helpful for a family.
Yes. Can you share the various components of a good estate plan?
Sure. I think the most important component of an estate plan is the general durable power of attorney. And I tell anyone who will listen that power of attorney is so important, even if you do nothing else in your estate plan, and everybody should have one, any adult. So my 21-year-old daughter has one. You shouldn't wait until you need one to put one into place, because it might be too late. And a general durable power of attorney allows the principal, which is the creator, to appoint someone to act as their agent or co-agents. So it allows the principal to determine who is going to best represent their interests and allow that person to step into their shoes in the event that they're unable to act. It's effective immediately upon signing, although I can craft one that springs into effect upon the occurrence of a certain event. I like the one that is currently effective when you sign it, because it just is easier for family members, especially if you need it because you were hit by a bus and you're in a coma and now the family has to pay your bills. Let's not make it harder for them by adding additional requirements to activate the general durable power of attorney. It's important to note that a general durable power of attorney cannot address healthcare issues. So you also need a healthcare power of attorney, and that allows your agent to step into your shoes and make healthcare decisions for you in the event that you're unable to speak for yourself. You get hit by a bus and you're in a coma. The healthcare power of attorney will often contain a do not resuscitate component, which is so helpful to whoever's going to be speaking for you, not to make that decision in a void based on what they know or what they think you might want. Because once you put it in writing, you may be surprised that your family is quite surprised by your written wishes.
Interesting. So what about a will?
A will is also important. It can contain provisions that express your wishes about how you want your remains to be disposed of, cremation or burial. We don't like to be too specific, You can be more specific in a phone conversation, but a will allows you to dispose of all your property however you want it to be disposed of. I mean, you may know you have a niece who admires your Hummel collection. You may know one of your children really wants your Christmas ornaments, and that can all be addressed in a will, as well as disposition of real property like a home or a burial plot or a second home. In the state of Virginia, children under the age of 21 cannot legally own real property. So you need a will and probably a trust to address those concerns. A will is the vehicle where you will nominate your guardians for your minor children and perhaps your incapacitated children or a child with significant disabilities.
So how does this differ from a living will?
A living will, so people use these terms interchangeably, and they're not interchangeable. A living will is what I want to happen to me if I'm in a vegetative state. I want no food, I only want hydration, pull the plug. And actually, clients, I find, are a little bit reluctant to activate or to execute a living will. And many of my clients say, I want my daughter or my son-in-law or my son or whoever the trusted person is to be at my bedside at the hospital or in my home or wherever and make a real-time decision, because they know me the best. They know like my grit and my determination and whether or not I'm going to get better, more so than a doctor would.
What about beneficiary designations?
So a beneficiary designation is an important probate tool because it allows the creator of the will to remove assets, financial assets, from their probate, from their estate, reducing the overall amount of the estate. And in many cases, it can be significant if you have a lot of investments. There are two types of beneficiary designations that I like to discuss. There's the POD that's used for a bank account, and that means that it's payable on death. So upon your death, your bank account will become the property of somebody else, like one of your loved ones. It's a great tool because it will allow your loved one to use the money in that bank account for immediate expenses. So all that money will convey right to the person you name, or two people. You can split that bank account. The TOD is used for investments, and that's called transfer on death. So you can use that for all of your investments, and on your death, those assets, those investments and securities and stocks and bonds will immediately transfer to whoever you designate in the TOD designation. Again, giving them immediate access to funds and removing those assets from the overall estate value.
Sounds like a lot to put together. Do you have any tips on how to get started?
I don't mean to sound trite, but I always tell clients, just get started. Gather your list of assets. Walk through your house. See what's in your house. Look at your jewelry collection. Talk to your family members. You might be surprised that your family members don't really want your grandma's china. You might be surprised that a niece really wants like your kitchen table because there were so many fond memories there. So I just say make a list of all of your stuff, make a list of all of your financial information, and call an attorney. A lot of people try and do this process through online, like Wills While You Wait, or Wills Online. We do wills and tacos while you wait. I say spend money, hire an attorney, so that you're sure it's done right. Remember, the ones online may not be specific to the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Oh, right, it varies by state. Well, how can Legal Services of Northern Virginia assist?
So Legal Services of Northern Virginia is a nonprofit law firm. Mm-hmm. We have about 44 attorneys. One of the main responsibilities I have is doing these personal declaration documents We are income-based, so not everyone is going to qualify for our services. If you've got a second home, if you feel the need for a trust to manage, a portfolio, we're not who you want to go to. We, however, can, through a grant from Fairfax County, I can help anyone over the age of 60, regardless of income, and I can also help anyone with disabilities, regardless of income. So I tell people, even if you think you're over income, call legal services, and I can at least give you an hour of education, one-on-one education, and maybe clear up some specific questions, and refer you to attorneys that I trust.
Once a good estate plan is in place, who does it benefit and how?
So a good estate plan really benefits everybody. It benefits the maker, the person whose will it is, the person whose estate plan it is, because then they have the satisfaction of knowing that their last and final wishes are clearly stated and their loved ones will be able to follow them without guessing what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's also incredibly helpful for your loved ones to know, like, do you want to be cremated? It's nice for them to know that and not have to guess. Mm-hmm. Do you want your ashes buried? It's nice for your loved ones to know that you've given thought to who gets what, and you've made those thoughtful decisions, and so it's much less likely that there's going to be a will contest or a squabble after you're gone.
Good point. This is very helpful information. Thank you so much. Is there anything else? Do you have any other final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Well, I would just say do the general durable power of attorney first.
Okay.
Even if you don't do the rest of the estate plan, do that, regardless of your age. That is a very simple, easy to do document. I know private attorneys don't charge very much. If you come to LSNV, it's a document that I can get done for you within an hour.
Wow.
So if you're over 60 and you have a big income, I can get that power of attorney executed for you in your first meeting if you come with all the people who you want to help you and who you want to be named in the document.
Excellent.
So
Denise,
just start.
Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing all this useful information. And thank you for watching this edition of Mature Living. I'm Ann Hall. We'll see you next time.